In this video, I'm going to show you how to save 3 times the amount of code you write and actually write faster, cleaner code even as a beginner. And I'm going to show you how anyone can take an average plugin and turn it into an absolute beast using the foundation system. As someone who spent tens of thousands of hours coding Minecraft plugins, I'm going to be doing a full code review and taking an average plugin, upgrading it into something that uses Maven and uses Foundation. And this is the plugin we're creating. This is a part of a multi-series training. So right now we are stuck at the commands. I'm gonna be increasing your output when it comes to making commands. We can see this right here, and then we have a reference plugin that I turned right here. We can see the code has been reduced down to almost 300% if you compared everything. In the first video, I actually given you a comparison. We actually compared everything, and I think it was close to 300% decrease in the amount of code. And of course, increase is not an insignificant increase in the quality of the code. So if you haven't watched the first video, please go ahead and complete it, because this video will make absolutely no sense, and I assume you have watched the training so far. So we're going to continue this training, and we're going to be upgrading our commands to use Foundation command system. So right now, people, what they do is they make their command class implement command executor, maybe even tab command, tab completer or tab executor. I'm not even sure. I can't even remember anymore because I never used it for so many years. And then they put their commands in the plugins here, and they register the commands manually. We don't have to deal with that. What we do is we simply go and we make the command extends a simple command, and then there is one thing we can do right now, and that is to implement on command, and you can also override the on or tab complete method, just tab complete, and we can return no complete here to return, I think, an empty array list. That's going to mean to Minecraft that it should not complete anything. Now, when it comes to command, you also need to put in the command label in the constructor, so we can see in the main plugin class that this command is actually called admin stats. So I'm just going to go here, and I'm going to put admin stats in here. If you want multiple things, you can put a separator like this or like that, and then type in a stats, for example, and that's going to serve as a command label. You can have multiple labels if you'd like. And then you can put something like this, set the description of the command, for example, main command for changing stats settings for the player. And if I had a look at this command, how it works, it wants to take at minimum one argument. So there must be one argument at least. So it's going to be slash astats and then something. So we can force this one argument by calling setMin argument, set it to 1. And then here, if the first argument is equaling to help, we're going to print a bunch of messages. We don't actually need to do any of that, because Foundation will compile these things for you. So, I mean, it can, if you use something called command group, which I'm going to show you actually in the other command. It's called user command here, and here we can use the command group for these subcommands. But for this command, I'm going to use a simpler setup, so we can actually do something called get multi-line usage message, and that one is shown when I type astats and then question mark to display the help command. And here we can actually just go into our language file, and here I can just open up the help here, and I can see, I think this is called the help 2. Well, this is pretty unfortunately written by the original author. I'm just going to go into the command section, go down here and type in admin stats help. That's it. And then we can just type it directly, slash admin stats, or you can just replace it with the label, where we will complete it automatically, set, and then we can maybe just have this one like this. It's just the label, and we can then manually put what we had right in here. So set, and then player needs to be specified, and then either it's defs kills streak, and then the amount. And this also can be actually set, add, or subtract, or I just call this command remove instead of calling it subtract. And now we can just say, I don't know, edit a player's stats as a description, and then reset. This also is going to take the player, reset a player's stats, and then I don't think there's anything else. Let me maybe look at the reference code we did here. I actually have it open on my other screen. So there's the top command, reset, set, add, remove. Okay, so the top command is missing. Yeah. So we can actually, I'm going to show you an extra command. And this will open the menu to browse top stats. It's a leaderboard. Open the leaderboard menu. This is a feature that I found to be inside of that plugin, but it doesn't work. And I actually was able to fix it and get the leaderboard menu up. So we're going to be doing that. And now I can just get rid of that block here. And here, I'm just going to go into our lang folder. The way you're going to get values from this message file is by calling the lang class and then dot and then of or of array, or you can even get different text components, which is called simple component, or of list. I'm just going to go for of array, and then the path is commands admin stats dot help, not helps. I'm not sure why I put it in there. And it's going to load up these values, these list keys. That's it. And now here we can see the dude is checking if the sender is a player, and then he's checking for permission. You don't have to do this in Foundation because we automatically do the check up here, and the default permission is going to be plugin name dot command dot main label. So it's going to be player stats plus, I think, dot command dot admin stats. If you like this permission to be changed, you can just set it here. My custom perm. That's it. And so we can just get rid of it this way. And then let me just have a look at the other screen. So we can maybe implement the top parameter. And the best way to get it is to simply call the param here and to get the args here. You can actually just get the args directly. We'll pull it from the... Not from this class. Okay, so I have to... Apparently, I have to start coding right here. We'll pull it from the simple command args. This is updated automatically. And then if top equals to param, and I can maybe make it to lowercase, then we're going to show the menu that I'm going to show you in the next video how to make. Or now, if we didn't put top in here, we have to specify the player. You can see here all the other sub-arguments, they actually must have the player in. So we're going to check args at least 2, and if we did not specify at least 2 arguments, we're going to set please specify the player name. And here they do it in a weird way, so they look for the get offline player, and they do it multiple times, which is repetition. Oh, they actually do it twice. No, they actually did 3 times, for God's sake. This is not a good thing, because you're going to crash the server. This method may involve a blocking web request. What's going to happen? Your server is going like this. It is the heartbeat of the server. It is the main thread. Okay, everything happens on the main thread. You have your commands are being processed, zombies are moving, your plugins is being ready to get things done. And then what's going to happen is that you're actually connecting to the internet, and we have to wait to get the request to turn the name into, I think, UUID conversion, and then return the offline player object, and then go back here and then continue processing. This is bad, because this can actually freeze the whole server, especially if there is a problem connecting to the internet for as many as a few seconds, which is absolutely unacceptable. Your whole server is going to freeze for a few seconds, worst case scenario. We have to create another thread, and then perform logic. We have to connect to the internet, evaluate it, and then down up here we're finished. Now we can put it in here, and it's gonna take 0.001 second instead of taking maybe 10 or 5 seconds. How do we do it? Well, there is actually a way to do it natively without Foundation. If you call new bucket runable, you can actually do your logic here, and then you can just run this task asynchronously, and you can put the simple plugin get instance here, and you can, do command logic. But that's just too complicated, and it's not gonna work, especially if you're using these messages here, check arguments, because then it's actually working by throwing an exception, which is then handled in the simple command to show the player that error message. So it's not gonna work properly. What we have to do, we have to actually do a run async here. You can just use it this way, and then perform the logic, or just get the player, and then you can call, I think, bucket.getOfflinePlayer from the name, and that one is on the first argument. And then the rest of it must be actually handled on the main thread, because if you just run your code on a different thread, yes, it is going to run faster, but it will cause you issues, especially when it comes to calling Bucket or Spigot APIs, because we have to manipulate the main thread from the main thread. We can only use different threads for database connection, internet connection, maybe saving data in a way it is safe to save the data. That is not saving chunks, it is not saving entities. Basically, you can do very little when it comes to Bucket API using a different thread. So we have to then force this process, and then we can finish the code here. So that is pretty complicated. What we did in Foundation, we have a find offline player here. You can just put the argument here, and then the callback is gonna be the target player as a consumer function, and you can just perform your logic. So we can then check if the command is reset, and then if it is reset, what it does, it is going to get the new player and then send him a message. And yeah, if we cannot find the player, we're going to send the error message. So that one is handled here. If we cannot get the player, we're going to send him the not played before message to the sender of the command. So that is done for you. Now resetting, we will remove the player from the database later, because we don't have it yet, and this one, the stats is broken, it doesn't work. But what we can do, we can just send the player the success message. You can actually just use the tell method directly. That's gonna tell the sender of the command that we have success, and then stats reset. You can go into lang, and then off success .stat resets, reset, and then we need to change the player here, variable. So if you had numbers, if you had 0 here and then 1 here, then what you can do, you can just type in comma, and then you can put in the first will be A and the second will be B. This will replace 0, this will replace 1. But since we don't have it, since we had a full variable name, we actually must replace it hardcore. Target player and then get name. That's it. And don't worry about this here. It will never be null because we check it here. So this is how to handle the reset. Now else, if it's not reset, then it can only be this thing here. And we need to check it. So check boolean. It's either set or it's add or it's remove. And if it's not either of these, we're going to print out invalid parameter. Yeah, we don't have it here. I did not copy that message. Invalid parameter. Use set, add, or remove, not, and then we can actually put the number here from the argument that is the 0th index. Write this like this, and Foundation is going to replace it automatically. You can also put it on a new line so that it is clean. Okay, so let me just have a look at how the author does it. Yeah, they're checking the arguments, and then they're getting the arguments again for some weird reason. There's no point in doing it twice. And then they're getting the category that should be the operation. So it's either, no, this is the category. So it can be def, kills, or streak. And then they're getting the amount. So there is 4 arguments at least, and they're checking if it's the integer. We're not gonna do that. We're going to check args here, and must be at least 4. If it's not, we're just gonna give the player the usage message. So it's gonna be set, add, remove, and then the first parameter, that is the player, and then the amount. No, here actually it must be either kills, deaths, or streak. Yeah, so I'm just gonna put it the category right here. And then for the category, I noticed that you will have to use it multiple times, so we're just gonna create a new enumeration. And then we can save different data, so we can save kills, we can save deaths, we can save kill streak, and we can also save the top kill streak as a record of how many players the player killed in a row ever. What was the maximum? Now, I don't want to save the kill streak here, so I can maybe create a boolean here, and then put a required args constructor and also a getter from Lombok, and then maybe I also want to put something that you can put in the commands, such as something small or something easier. Or not. No, we don't have to. Yeah, let's just stick with this. If you do obfuscate your plugin, this will be changed. So then you must actually put the kills here, and I call this the key. And then you can use the key explicitly. Okay, let's just make a default category, and this will save it to the file if I don't specify something. So the only thing we can specify here is false, and this is going to call the other constructor, and these 3 constructors are going to be the default one, which is going to save to the file. And then we can go into the admin command, and let me just open it on my other screen as well. And then we can just get the category, and we can use the find enu method for it. We can give it a class there, we can give it the 3rd argument on the 2nd index, and then if the category is invalid, we can just put in invalid category here, and then available, and you can actually put the available variable, and Foundation is going to print it out for you. And then we can get the amount. So we're not gonna go and do some crazy things like is integer and then parsing the integer and then checking if it's below 0. It's just unnecessary, it takes so much time. We're going to call and do everything in a single line called find number. Find number at the 3rd index from 0 to, for example, it has no limit, so it can be maxed value. And if that number is not valid, we're going to put in invalid amount. The amount must be a whole non-zero number, or just a whole number, and then got what we received, so the user can see it. And then we can get the old amount, which I'll just mark as to do because the stats file does not yet work, and then we can calculate the new amount depending on the operation. So if the operation is set, we're just gonna set the amount that's given. If it's not set, it can be either add or remove. So we can check. So we can add the old amount plus, and then if the operation is add, no, the old amount should be here. Sorry about that. Old amount plus, and then if the operation is add, we're going to add the new amount. Or if it's not add, which logically the only thing that's left is remove, we're going to negate the amount. That's it. And then the new amount we can check using math-util range, and then we can turn it into a non-zero number up to the max value of the integer. Because sometimes if the old amount is, for example, 5 points and you put in minus 50, you will end up with minus 45, which is, you know, it will not work. It's going to break the plugin, so we have to reset it to 0 in case it's below 0. And that's why the min here is 0. And that's why we're getting ID errors. I'm just kidding. So now what we can do, we can save to file, and we can just get here the message, change applied. And also replace the player. Like this. Pretty cool. And that should be pretty much it. One more thing I'd like to complete is the tab complete, so we can switch between which position we're completing. If we're positioning ourselves at the first argument, there is only a set, add, remove, reset, or tab operation. If this is the second argument, we can then complete last word player names, which is a cool method. It's gonna get the player names, and if we are a player, we're actually going to exclude vanished players, so you don't have to worry about revealing vanished players. We support vanished plugins. And then if we are at the third argument, that was the category, I think, so we can just return complete last word. And what's cool about this method is that it's pretty intelligent. It's going to go into tab-util.complete, and it's going to try to parse enums. So I can just put in category values. That's it. Nothing else we need to do. And now we can get rid of the long and weird old command block, and we are pretty much left with the full class. And there is one error, and that is just the syntax one. Okay, great. So now we are nearing ourselves to the end of this video. 23 minutes. It's gonna be pretty longer video than the previous one, but whatever. So I'm going to show you how to create a command group from the user command, and I'm not gonna go over all the command. We're only going to be taking the view command to open menu, and then if you guys want, you can just maybe implement the other commands by yourself. So to add a command group, we can create a new class. It's gonna be a user command group. It's gonna extend a simple command group, and what simple command group does, it's going to split the admin command into each class for each subcommand. So we're going to have a separate class for set, separate class for add, and for remove. It's pretty cool. It's pretty high level if you need to split it so that your admin command doesn't get 3,000 lines long. And then the admin command will actually need to implement the register subcommand class. And that's pretty much it. We don't have to do anything else here. You can open the simple subcommand class to see what you can override. You can actually override a lot. You can override the no params header. This is the thing that's being shown when I type in, for example, a stats command. And then you can also override trademark, which obviously you want to. No, you don't have to. It's going to pull directly the author's name. And then you can override credits, which you can, so you don't have advertising, return, and then you can, I don't know, visit my website, you can put in your website, you can do whatever. You don't have to put anything in there. We can delete the reference to Mine Academy this way. So you guys don't complain that I put ads in my plugin. It's not intentional because all of my plugins literally have the same header, so I just made it there. So when I'm coding my plugin, when I'm duplicating, I don't have to change it. And then if you guys want to make your plugins, you know how to change it. It literally takes you 3 lines of code. That's it. Nothing else. It's not advertising. It takes 3 lines of code, and I'm showing you a clear and easy to understand way to get rid of it. But if you like to, you can keep it in there, and people are going to find out how to make great plugins. So that's it. And now we can register the subcommand. The way we actually register subcommand is you will need to override the getMain command. So you can just return new user command group. But it's not a good way because you have to create a new instance each time this is called. So we can just put this here. And then use a getter, and we can actually delete this because it's going to be created by the getter. And that's it. And then here we can register command, and we only have to register the non-group command. We only have to register the admin command and get rid of the other things. There we go. And then the simple sub command group is going to register all the other commands that we're going to create right now. And we're going to make the view group command here. That's going to extend simple, not simple command, but simple subcommand. It's going to implement onCommand method and also needs to know what label is it. There we go. And the label is going to be view, just view. And then it's going to work like this. I'm going to type in the user command group label, which is actually supposed to be somewhere in here, which we don't have. So you can just copy it from resources, from plugin settings here. And that's going to be here, command aliases, and that's going to get the command aliases for the main command we registered. So it's going to be, for example, A-stats, or player stats, P-stats. And then admin command was A-stats, and this is going to be P-stats for the player. Okay, and now Foundation will take care of the rest. And then we can go into our command group and we can register subcommand new view group command, and that's it. We can get rid of this one and we're done. And then here it's gonna work like this. I'm gonna type in pstats view. I'm gonna select the player, so it's very simple. It takes in at least 1 argument. We can also set the usage. That's just a visual thing you will see on the screen when you type in view and then question mark. And we can also set description to be display the menu showing a player's stats. And then on command we can check console so that we do not enable this to be shown for consoles. And if this is a console, we're going to throw a message, no console, and send that message to the console. So if you guys want, you can obviously just change this message, what is going to be shown to the console if I try to run it from the console. Or we can find the offline player by the name, that's going to be on the first argument, and then the target player will then trigger the menu. And then tab complete, we can just complete online player names, for example. And that's pretty much it for this video. I hopefully shown you the basics of commands. We can get rid of the user command for now. Again, I'm not gonna implement everything. Here is just opening the GUI that I'll show you in a separate video how to make. And now we're pretty much done with commands. And yeah, before I finish this video, let me just briefly go over this. In the next video, we are going to be creating our statistics system. So I'll see you there. Thank you.